In my last video, I posted the cutting of this dress displaying on the screen. If you have not seen the tutorial, I'll put the link on my description box. Please do wait to check it out. On today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how I sew it. Just make sure you watch to the end and don't skip any part so that you don't miss anything. At the end of this tutorial, if you find my video helpful, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed and turn on your notification bell for more videos. So after cutting it, I went ahead and ironed my interface on my satin and on my lining. I iron stain on my satin and soft gum stain on my lining. I also iron stain on my Ankara fabric. So after that, the next thing you will do is to place your lace fabric on your satin fabric so that you can laminate it. I'll be using my fabric gun, which is E7000, to apply on the edges of the fabric. Just dab it at the edges, it will just stick together. I'll do this for all my cut out pieces. After that, I'll come back and show you the next thing that you will do. Okay, I'm done laminating it both for the front and back. Can you see what I have here? This is my center front. I'll be showing you how I pad it. So I'll be using a medium weight foam for my padding. You can use anything that works for you. This foam that I have here has a very good texture, and when you use it to pad any fabric, it stands very well. But if you don't have this kind of foam, you can use medium weight wadding to pad on your main fabric and use the light one to pad on your lining. You can as well cage your lining if you want, but for me this is just very okay. So I'm gonna head to cut the side front. I've cut out the two sides, so I'll be reducing the down part by ½ inch and the upper part I'll be reducing it by 1 inch. So you follow what I'm doing. I reduce the down part so that it can enable me to join it, and the armhole area so that it can enable me to fit my sleeve. So I'll go ahead and cut the center front. So I've already cut it out. I'll also be reducing the center front the same way I reduce the side front. So you place it this way. You determine the length that you have here. I have 7 inches, so I'll make sure I also have 7 inches on the center front. So I will reduce 1 inch on the upper part and ½ inch on the down part. After reducing it, I will confirm whether this one is 7 inches. So I have 7 inches here. You match it together to be sure of what you have there. If it's not equal, you can make it equal. If you are not using this type of foam, you can iron soft wadding on your lining. Very important, so that you can have a fuller bust. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to use my gum to iron the foam on it. So you make sure it's ½ inch here. You can use a pin to hold it so that it won't be moving around. I will insert my gum inside the way you see me doing. After inserting it, I will turn it to the right side. Please make sure you turn it to the right side so that if you iron it to stick together. So I'll be using this piece of fabric. I make sure I soak it on water. There's no NEPA light, so I'm using my stove iron. You can use your steam iron to iron it properly. So as you can see, it has stayed together. So I will remove the excess I have on the both sides. I will also be doing the same thing on this side front, but before then I will be reducing the side. So I've gone ahead to reduce it. I didn't know my camera will not record it when I cut it out. So you reduce it by ½ inch so that when you want to join it with the Ankara part, the foam will not obstruct it. So I'm done ironing my foam down. As you can see, it has stick together. So the next thing now is to join it. You use your pin to hold it. Join it the way you normally join your placenta bustier. So I'll go to my sewing machine now and join it and come back and show you the next thing that you will do. So this is what I have when I was done sewing it. Can you see how the purse is standing? So I'll use my breastbone now to open press the seam so that everything will come out. And you use a steam iron to open press it. So I'll do the same thing both on my lining. I've also sewn my lining. After ironing, you turn it to the right side and iron the same line very well. This is what I have for my main fabric and for my lining. So the next thing now is to join it with the Ankara fabric. So I will make sure I notch the two corners. You make a notch of 1/2 inch on the both sides. Can you see what I'm doing? So that when you are sewing it, you won't find it difficult. After notching it on the both side, I'll be folding my bustier so that I can get the middle point. I'll also fold the Ankara fabric. After notching it, I will place it together, right side facing right side. I'll make sure that the notch part is matching. So I'll use my pin to pin it round. Please, before you sew it down, make sure you pin it together so that you be sure that everything is equal. So the reason why I notch the two corners on the Ankara is so that I can easily turn it. If you don't notch it, you find it difficult to turn it. Can you see? So if you get to this corner, this point that I notch, you see that it will be easy for you to turn it to the side. Can you see what I'm doing? So just fix your eyes on the screen, you understand what I'm doing. After pinning it, you can see that mine is equal. I don't have any excess. Can you see what I have? Just take your time to pin. After pinning it, I have something like this, so I'll repeat the same thing on this side now, and I'll go to my sewing machine and sew it down. I'll also repeat the same thing on my lining. So I will go off camera now and sew it, and I'll come back and show you the next thing that you will do. Okay, you can as well pin your back part before going to your sewing machine to sew. So you match it this way. Just fix your eyes on the screen and watch closely what I'm doing. Alright, you also notch this corner. So I'll go to my sewing machine now and sew it with 1/2 inch. I've gone ahead to sew it already. Can you see what I have? This is for my back. Can you see this part that I notch? This is how you're supposed to be looking like when you do it correctly. So I will give it a good ironing. When I was cutting my fabric, I didn't cut the lining the same way I cut my main fabric. So after sewing the main fabric, I'll make sure I place the lining and the main fabric together to check whether it's equal. If it's not equal, I'll trim it off. Also do the same thing when you are sewing your own. Alright, so I've done the same thing for the both sides. After that, I went ahead to iron it very well. I iron both my front and my back parts. Can you see what I have? I also join my lining the same way I joined the main fabric. You match it together. Can you see that mine is equal? For the lower part, I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into two. So I will be removing the upper part, which is from my shoulder to my half length. I have 17.5. So you place your tape on that 17.5 to determine the length. So I will get the full length of my gown. I use 40 inches. So I will add 1.5 inches for folding allowance. So after that, I will now measure from my waist to my hip, which is 10 inches. I use 10 inches because it's a gown. So I will now measure from my waist to my knee, above knee measurement, which is 19 inches. I will mark it, so my length and my hemming allowance. So after that, I will rule my lines out. After ruling my lines out, I will place quarter of my round waist. I will add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. On the hip line, I will place quarter of my hip, and I will also add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. I will connect it the way you see me doing. For the knee, I will minus what I have on my hip line. I have 12 inches for the quarter of my round hip. So on the knee line, I will be placing 11 inches. So I remove 1 inch from what I have on my hip line to get 11 inches. I will also add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. After that, I will connect it the way you see me. So from the knee line, I will just rule it straight to the hem. After rolling it down, I'll be coming down by 1 inch on my waistline so that if I attach the upper part, it will relax very well on my body. So the next thing now is to cut it off, but I won't be cutting the 1 inch I came down from my waistline, so that I can use it to cut out my back part. So I've folded my back part. I'll place my front on it the way you see me doing. I'll leave 2 inches for my zipper allowance. After that, I'll go ahead and trim it out. Please make sure you cut it first on your satin fabric before placing it on your main fabric, which is the chantilly. After cutting it out, I'll also remove my back zipper bulge on the lower part. I'll come in by 0.75 on the waistline. I will connect it to my hip line. After that, I will come in by 0.75 on the knee line, the way you see me doing. Can you see the shape that I have there? I will really shred down. So the next thing now is to cut it out. After cutting it out, I will notch the zipper allowance and I will remove this 1 inch on the front part. So after cutting it out, I will place it on my lace fabric so that I can cut exactly what I have on my satin fabric. So I've already cut it out and I've done the same thing for my lining. I cut my lining and my main fabric together. After that, I'll be reducing my lining by 2 inches. So I will take off the 2 inches. I'll also do the same thing for the back part. After reducing the lining for the back part, I'll go ahead and notch the zipper allowance on the lining and on the main fabric. I've also gone ahead to laminate the lace fabric on the satin, the same thing I did on the upper part, and also iron my soft gum stay on the lining. This is optional. I iron soft gum stay on the lining because my lining is very soft. I want to add my slit. So before you add your slit, make sure you laminate your chantilly lace on the satin. So from the waistline, I came down by 19 inches. You can make it 18 inches depending on how high you want your slit to be. So for me, I will leave it at 19 inches. I will mark 1.5 inches. You know, we added 2 inches for zipper allowance, so I mark 1.5 inches. The remaining half inch is what I'll be using to sew it. Alright, so I'll go ahead and cut it out. I'll be sewing on this half inch. So the next thing is to place my lining on it so that I can trim off the slit on the lining. Just watch closely what I'm doing. After cutting it, this is how I will sew it. I'll just mark the half inch like this. So I'll follow the line and stitch. So the next thing now is to fold the lower part into two. I want to trim off the basque waistline on the skirt part. So after folding it, I will also fold the upper part into two the way you see me doing. After that, you now place it on the skirt part the way you see me doing. Can you see that mine is equal? If yours is not equal, you know that you did not draft your pattern very well. So after that, I'll use something to secure it so that it won't be moving around. The next thing now is to mark it out. After marking it out, I will remove it so that I can add half inch that I'll be using to join it. So add half inch on the upper part this way. Can you see my half inch? I will confirm what I have here. I have 4 inches. It's supposed to be 4.5, but I measured from the half inch I added. So make sure you watch the cutting part so that you get everything. So if I spread it out now, this is what I have. It's matching. I'll also do the same thing on my lining. I fold my lining into two. I'll place the main fabric on it so that I can trim it out. After that, I will apply my fabric gum on the waistline so that it can stick together. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to join the upper and the lower part together. So you match it the way you see me doing and you use your pin to pin it down. You can fold it and determine the middle point so that it will be easy for you. So just fix your eyes on the screen and watch what I'm doing. After pinning it, I have something like this. Can you see that everything is equal? So I'll go and sew with 1/2 inch this way. So I'll also do the same thing on the lining. I'm gonna head to sew it. Can you see what I have? So this is how it's looking like, very neat. So I will use my iron to iron it down. This is my lining. Can you see that both the lining and the main fabric is equal? I'm also gonna head to join the back part the same way I joined the front. Can you see what I have? So you need to open press the joining on the waistline and iron it very well the way you see me doing. This is what I have when I was done ironing it. Can you see that it's looking very neat now? So I'm also gonna head to iron my lining the same way I iron the main fabric. After that, I'll place it right side to right side and I'll go and join the down part first. After joining the down part, I will join the both side and also join the neckline. I will do it for both front and the back. I'm done sewing it. This is what I have. Can you see the hem of the dress? It's looking like this because I reduced my lining by 2 inches. Can you see? Before you turn it to the right side, make sure you notch the neckline. So I will turn it from the armhole now. I'll also turn the back part. Make sure you bring everything out. Can you see what I have? So I'll iron it very well. I will give it a good ironing. This is my back part. Can you see how I sewed the slits? You notch this corner so that when you turn it to the right side, it will relax very well. So you also notch the neckline for the back. So after that, I'll turn it to the right side. After turning it out, you have something like this. Can you see the slit part? This is what you're supposed to be looking like when you follow my steps. So I will make sure I iron it properly. After ironing it, I will match it together. Make sure it's aligning. Can you see mine is aligning? Can you see what I have? So I'll go ahead now and attach my back zipper and I'll come back and show you. So I've attached my zipper. This is what I have. Can you see how my zipper is lying very flat and neat? So after attaching the zipper, you place the front and back together. I will use the remaining sewing allowance I added, which is 1 inch, to close the two sides. I will first of all stitch down the shoulder, the two shoulders, close the two sides. I'll do it and come back and show you what I have. For the sleeve part, I lost some of the sewing clip, so I used pop sleeve for the sleeve. So the length I use 17 inches. You cut your pop sleeve. So I'll be gathering it. The next thing is to measure from the sleeve head to where I want the Ankara part to stop. So I use 8 inches for that. After that, I will slant it the way you see me doing. When you want to place the length for the Ankara part, you don't place it from the part you raise up for your puff sleeve. You place it from your sleeve head. If you watch my previous tutorial, you know how to cut a puff sleeve. Place it starting from your sleeve head. As you can see, I've already placed it on my fabric to cut it. I added 1/2 inch on this part and 1/2 inch on the shoulder area. I also added 1/2 inch on this part that I'll be using to join it. Cut your satin fabric and also place it on your lining and cut it. Please bear with me. I lost some of the sewing clips, but sewing the sleeve is not hard.